Last night, I want to talk to you guys a bit about, this is what the experience is meant to be, to give you guys the opportunity to be in front of these coaches and to meet a bunch of different ones from different schools. And although you can't meet everybody, you get a group of them here, and you guys have definitely learned some stuff about college drills and how they work and the energy and match play and all that fun aspects about it, as well as we've had a couple talks where we've talked about leadership and statistics. What I want to talk to you guys a little bit about is that recruiting and development phase, right? So how many people here are 9th graders? Hands up. 1. And 10th graders? Couple. And 11? Okay. 12? Okay, great. So ideally, people wait for recruiting and all that stuff very late. And I was talking to some of your parents last night, and then we did a Facebook Live and a YouTube video that we're going to share a link to for your parents. I did a talk for parents, and the talk I always give to your parents is like, recruiting is not just going through the steps of, hey, I'm going to build a list of schools, I'm going to contact these coaches, and then I'm going to figure out, if they like me or not, and pick one and visit them. I mean, that is the paperwork and a lot of things that you need to do, but really it's your development. Like, so how good of a player do I need to be to go to the types of schools I want to go to? And then how good of a student do I need to be? And like, as much as your parents need to understand that information, because you guys are, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 years old, you guys joining us? All right, great. So yeah, although your parents need to understand that, it really comes from you guys, like how badly you want it, right? Because at the end of the day, you're your own person, and your parents are not going to be living your lives. And that's the truth. Like, it's your life. You decide what you want to do. You train if you want to. If I could be wrong, but I think all your parents are giving you the opportunity. Otherwise, they wouldn't be sending you to these camps or allowing you to come if they didn't want you to have the opportunity to be the best person you can be, right? And at the end of the day, you have nobody to blame but yourselves if you don't put in the work, because nobody's going to push you other than yourself. No one's going to push you more than yourself. Your coach, your parents, your friends, everyone's technically there to support you guys. But the people that want it try to make it happen. I mean, and if you're not the player that's going out and saying, I want to go play tennis, every day, or I want to go here, I want to do these events, your parents may push you to a certain extent, but there will come a time when it's totally up to you. And so you guys are going to be the best version of yourselves by doing it for yourself, right? Really so if you look at top tennis players in the world, who everybody just is striving to be, they have the most desire. They love the sport unconditionally, where they just want to do it all the time at the highest level, and they are willing to sacrifice and train as hard as they can to be at that level, and they're getting the opportunity, right? And so if you're given the opportunity, you have the desire, and they also have the talent. So like, you guys also have to understand that like, not everybody's going to be as good as the next person that may be next to them. Like, you will be as good, you will maximize your own potential if you put in the work. So if you work as hard as her, and you guys do the same thing, for example, you may become a better player than her, because there's different aspects that are uncontrollable, like your talent level and your mental toughness stuff. There's certain things you can train, but then there's certain things you can't, like size and just good genetics and talent level. But if you can be the best version of yourself, then you can still get somewhere. And everybody has the opportunity to do that and play college tennis. And it's the same thing with academics. Not everybody's going to be the smartest in their class. You could study just as hard as the kid next to you, but you may just not be able to pull the same grades. You guys agree with me? Like, that's a reality. Like, it's stuff that people I don't think really talk about with you guys enough. And then my biggest thing with junior players is like, I wasn't there, it wasn't that long ago when I was there. So now that I look back on it, it's like, what could I do differently and better? What can I teach you guys to make you maximize your potential? Well, I think it's a mix of two things. It's how badly do you want it will naturally, to some degree, be how much effort you're actually putting in, okay? Like if you really want to play tennis and you love it, then you will be going out and playing pretty much every day, naturally. But the other part is that you also have to be disciplined and organized and manage your time and have a plan. And that's probably the toughest part. Like I know when I was growing up, I absolutely loved sports in general. I played everything I could all day long. The last thing I wanted to do was study. And I'm not saying that's a good thing, but I just loved sports so much. And I fell in love with tennis, around 12, 13 years old. And so my parents couldn't get me away from the tennis club in the summertime. Like I would just be there all day long. And they'd have to call the club and try to force me to come home. But what I wasn't very good at is I wasn't as really that disciplined with my sleep patterns, my diet, my training. And so the discipline and lack of time management was the thing that maybe held me back from maximizing my potential. So how many of you guys here absolutely, and this is not a problem, like if you don't love tennis that way, that's okay too. But how many people here love tennis that way that they just want to be there all day, every day? And be honest. And it's not a problem if you don't. Okay, so there's about half of you that do and half of you there. Okay, out of those half that do, how many of you guys feel like you're going out there and training with a purpose every single day, that you feel like you're improving every single day, every single hour, every single minute, that you're super disciplined, you're really focused? How many of you guys out of the ones that put your hand up feel like you're honestly doing that? Okay, 2 of you and a half. Okay, and what does that really mean, right? Like that means you have a schedule, you have a plan with your coach or yourself and your family, whoever's around you, and you are assessing your level and you're really maximizing every minute of the day when you're on that court, which is really hard to do. Now, out of the other ones that said that they don't love it, where they want to be there all day, every day, the question now becomes, how much do you need to put in to go and play college tennis? Because there's different levels, right? There's people who want to go and play college tennis and that's their main focus, and academics is a little bit secondary. There's players that come and it's even, and then there's players that come where it's like academics and like, I'd love to be on a college tennis team and enjoy that experience, but it's not going to take over my life. I don't want to be like, I want to improve, but it doesn't matter how accelerated that is. So out of you guys that didn't put your hand up, how many of you guys want a fun college experience, but you're really into the academics, like you want to go to that great school as well? Okay, the other half. How many of you guys are unsure of what you want to do? Put your hand up. A few of you guys unsure, right? So let me talk about the unsure. If you're unsure of what you want to do, or you don't know where you fit right now, you will start to figure it out, because your behavior will dictate that, right? If you want to be on the court all day, then you will start doing that. If you don't, you won't do it. If as you get older and older in high school, you will start realizing where your priorities lie, what excites you, what's interesting to you. And what I'm trying to get at is that no matter what your desire is as a tennis player, that doesn't make you any better or worse than somebody else. It just is going to help you find the right fit. Because people don't understand that there is different levels of college tennis, and that you can be somebody who wants to play all day, every day. And if you're at the level to be good enough to be pro, you might have that chance if you're good enough, and you'll go to those types of schools. And then there's all the way down where you want to go somewhere that is really academically challenging, and there's a college tennis aspect, but it's not overtaking the academic side. And then there's ones that do both, where it's like you can play quite a bit of tennis and you can study enough, but it's a little more even based there. There's all the different levels. And so what you guys have to figure out is what you want, right? what do you guys want? And as you figure that out, that's how you can find your best fits. That's how you can figure it out. By coming to events like this, learning a lot, understanding what different coaches and colleges offer, knowing what you want out of it. Some of you guys don't know that, and that's fine. Like, I didn't even know what I wanted to study really getting out of high school. And that's fine. Don't let anybody tell you guys how you should feel or run your life, or that you need to decide. You can go to college undecided. I went from doing a business major just because like I didn't really know, to really liking computer tech and science, to working in sports, a hotel management job, clothing store, teaching tennis, running camps, recruiting business. Like, it took me a while to figure it out. And that's fine, because the only way to figure stuff out is to be in the environment and try to, like I always thought out of school, I was like, I want to be a hotel manager. Like, that would be cool. I want to go run a hotel in like some Caribbean country. And then I went and got an internship from school, and I realized like within 3 months, like, I don't want to do this. That's fine. So like, as you guys go through high school, you're going to start figuring out which, like, you know, what area of study you guys like, or what types of things. Are you an arts person? Are you a science person? Are you into sports management? Are you into business? Are you into law? Like, you may figure that out as you go along, or you may not, and you'll figure it out in college. You'll start to figure out, though, through your behavior, where you are once you get to the end of high school, or towards the end, like what your desire and interest level is as a college tennis player, and what types of schools you want to go to play college tennis, and where can you play. And so as you guys go through that, your behavior, your interests, those are all come as you do the recruiting process. That's why that process is important, because it's mainly like education and learning to figure out where you're going to end up. And I think you guys need to start that like now, like as early as possible. If you're already like a rising senior, that's fine. You need to accelerate it, and you've probably done some stuff already. And if you haven't, you need to get on it. Because the more interactions you have with college coaches, and the more research you guys do, and the more you try to understand, the better you're going to know, you know, at the time where you think you fit. And that may change along the way too. Like, you may say today, if you're in grade 10th grade, and you say, you know, I like this, this, and this, next year you might not feel the same way. But that's okay, because you're learning along the way, and you're understanding what the different levels are for tennis. You're understanding what the different academic routes are, what you really want to do. And if you know everything, or you have an idea, then you'll be well prepared. Does that all make sense, guys? And I think that if you rely on your parents to do recruiting and all that for you, you're in trouble. Like, I go through like hundreds and thousands of players every year, through the events we run, to helping them one-on-one, to being involved and speaking at different places. And I see so many of you guys that are in different positions and have different goals. But the main thing that I notice is that a lot of players don't really take initiative. You guys don't like take responsibility with your process. And to be truthful, is majority of kids that do take more initiative with their recruiting are the higher level players. And it's partially because it's like they want it more, and they're interested in that, and they're invested in it. So, and they're confident, maybe because they're winning and stuff like that, and they have really good results. But that's not to give you guys who aren't, let's say, at that level, the lack of confidence. But you guys, there's a reason why maybe you're a little one step below, is because you're not taking it as seriously as they are, if you're in that position. And if you really want to go to a really fun school and you want to have the best opportunity, like, you guys have to do it yourselves in terms of being in charge. Like most of the time, your parents are coming up to me and saying, oh, we'd like to work with you, like, to help us with recruiting. Like, I would love if more kids would come to me and say, I'd really like to work with you. Like maybe I can talk to my parents and I'd like some help. This is where I think I need help. Like even you giving me like just a little snippet of what you thought like you wanted is great. I can work with that. I can help you. I can guide you. Well, there's a lot of people here that can do that, but it should come from you guys, not your parents. I mean, your parents pay the bills. I get it. You guys are young. You need your parents' support. They're very, very like intricate part of your life right now. They're your parents. You live under their roof, but they're also looking for you guys to take a little more initiative. So how many of you guys actually schedule your own tennis, sign up for your own tournaments? How many of you guys sign up for your own tournaments? Okay, how many don't? Put up your hands, please. It's not, okay, like that's something I would start doing for you guys, okay? I want you guys to sign up for your own tournaments. You can do it. How many of you guys take initiative in your tennis development? Like actually, you know, work with the coach and ask them a lot of questions. And how many of you guys do this, like decide what you're doing in the summer, are involved in that? How many people are involved? Who's initiating it though, your parents or you guys? And that needs to be a better balance. Like obviously your parents are gonna have a big say, as I said, you know, the summer is theirs as much as yours in terms of helping you schedule it, but for you guys to really take advantage. How many of you guys live in a place that snows? Okay. So summer is like your time to take advantage, right? So I just want you guys to make things easier for yourself by taking more initiative, by being more in control of it. Because it's funny, like I remember being your age, sitting down where you guys are, listening to people who could help me, and sometimes some stuff was coming in and sometimes not so much. But the one thing that really sat with me by one of my coaches was like, you know, at the end of the day, like it's going to be up to you, and whatever support you're getting is great, but if you really want it, like you've got to go after it. And you can't blame anybody else for your success, for your failures. And then you can't take credit so much for your success if you're not actually putting in the work. And that goes for like your academics too and anything else in life. But like, if you're blaming somebody else why you didn't win a tournament, or your coach didn't do a good job, or your parents didn't sign you up, or this didn't happen, like in the real world, like when you guys get jobs one day, nobody cares. Like that's the truth, just nobody cares. Like it's all on you. So there is pressure, but you know what? That's cool, because pressure is part of sports. You guys play sports for the pressure. Deep inside, the butterflies, having the butterfly feeling is a good thing. Like if you interviews by pros, like even they interviewed Federer a few years ago. Can't even remember which tournament, but I just remember him saying like, I still get nervous. And that's what, like if you don't get nervous, then nothing is exciting in life. If I'm not a little bit nervous and even talking to you guys, or like feeling like a little pressure, then I'm not going to give you guys a good speech here. If I didn't care about it, it would be crappy. I wouldn't put any effort in. So you guys need to take control, and you guys need to have some pressure, but at the same time you have a great support system, and there's always a solution to every problem. So if you're ever in a situation where you feel like, you know, you don't know what to do, there's always a solution to every problem, and there is nobody to tell you guys what you should do and how good of a tennis player you should be and what school you should go to. I mean, even if you guys feel that pressure from parents, like they want you to go to a certain school, I mean, if you get there, you get there. If you don't want to, that shouldn't be like a negative thing. It shouldn't be a downgrade. Like, you guys should be happy to go where you want to go. And I think there's a lot of pressure from your peers, I know, from like anything from tennisrecruiting.net. People are getting signed and commitments and verbal, and then you guys feel like you need to do the same. Or if you haven't experienced that already, you're going to experience that. And like, just remember, it's your life. You do whatever you want. You guys should be proud of what you've accomplished and know that you may not want the same thing as somebody else. That's it. And who cares what they think, as long as you're happy with yourself. So if you guys came out this weekend and at the end of today, you feel like you gave it your all, you know, you tried as hard as you could on the court, off the court, you guys were listening, attentive, you guys made some new friends, you had some fun, you met some coaches, and if you sleep at night and you feel like, you know, everyone's gonna feel like they could have done something better, but that's good, you know, something to improve on. But if you feel overall, you maximize the opportunity, then you have nothing to worry about, and nobody else should tell you anything that you should have done better or worse or whatever. Like, you got the most out of this experience for yourself. And that same goes for when you go looking at colleges and where you want to go and what you want to do. How many people feel the pressure by other friends and stuff to perform? Be honest. Yeah. Just remember that. Like, you're not somebody else. You don't have to, I mean, if you want to be the best player on your team or whatever, then work and try and realize that if you don't get there, you should be happy with the results you put in as long as you've tried your absolute best. But don't let anybody else dictate how you should feel or what you guys should do. That's a huge thing for me. I really want, like, because at the end you're gonna figure it out and you guys need to be happy. There's nothing wrong with going to a school you might not even ever heard of, because the reality is you're probably gonna end up at one of those. Like, do you guys know that the most amount of colleges in college sports in general are Division III schools? Anybody know that? So the reality is that if you guys do math, right, in school? So the statistics would tell you that if you take a room of 100 kids, the majority of them will end up at a D3 school over a D1, D2, an Ivy, whatever it is. So you're most like in this group of players right here, most likely there'll be more going D3 than D1 and D2 combined. And there's nothing wrong with that. Also understanding that there's different levels at every division, and that if you go D3, it doesn't mean it's weaker or worse. It's what you need and want. If it's competitive for you, you like the team, it's what you want, the academics are there, the social aspects there, then you're gonna have a great time. Like, I didn't go to any fancy schools, but I'm doing a lot better than a lot of my friends that did, because it doesn't matter where you go, it's what you make of it. Like, for me, if I went to Harvard, I would have failed because I wasn't a good student. That was well above my level. Tennis-wise, maybe I probably could have played at that time, but academics, I couldn't get in, let alone if I did sneak in, it would have been a terrible experience for me. And some of you guys are gonna figure out, like, I transferred. So I was a certain level, tennis player and student when I went to school, and there was opportunities that I gained and missed for whatever reasons I had. Like, I decided at one point I didn't even want to play college tennis, which is kind of crazy, but there was a part in high school, I grew up in Canada, and I was like, no, I'm just gonna go to school. I got into a really good school in Canada. And then all of a sudden in June, at the end, after I graduated, like, you're still growing every day, every week. And one of the coaches from New Mexico called me and he's like, still have a spot for you. Like, you sure you don't want it? And I don't know, I got off the phone, and for that moment I finally clicked, and I was like, you know, if I don't play sports and tennis, like, this was my dream. Always when I was 12 years old, I used to tell my parents, I want to go play college tennis in the States. And then all of a sudden I was giving it up, partially because I was scared, but and partially like the fear of the unknown. But the other part was like maybe some pressure from my friends who were also going to those schools that I wanted to go with. And then I realized, yeah, well, why wouldn't I go? My dad told me something that was great. He said, you know what, you can always go, and if you don't like it, you can come back. Again, a solution to every problem. My coach told me, I don't know why you wouldn't go. You've worked so hard. You love it, right? So I ended up going. I spent 2 years. I came in at number 5 and 6 tennis. I worked my way to number 1 by my sophomore year, and I outgrew the school. Why? Not necessarily for the tennis aspect, but I started to figure out at that point that, okay, I'm going to be a junior and like I want to get a job now. I'm not going to be a pro tennis player. I had injuries, so I wanted to find a school where I could possibly get internships and have an environment where it was easier for me to get connected. Especially being from Canada, I didn't have like a visa, so I'd have to go through the student process. So I transferred. The level of tennis was better, so it gave me a new challenge. And then the academics were a little stronger and the opportunities were there. And then I got a job with the Orlando Magic, and then I got a job with Cliff Drysdale Tennis, and that all led me over to here. So you're all gonna have your journeys through that. But everyone grows differently, and don't ever let anybody tell you what to do.